is up, everyone? Welcome to the first episode of the Ultrarunning News Network. This is a news show that's specifically going to be dedicated to the world of trail and ultra running. And my name is Jamie Farley. A lot of my friends call me Farley. And I'm broadcasting from San Francisco, California. And with me is my co-host, John Rutherford, broadcasting from Delaware, Ohio. And welcome, Johnny.
Thank you. Good to be here.
All right. So first, we just wanted to kind of go into the what and the why. Like, why are we here? What are we doing? What do we hope to achieve? And I just want to say, we know there's a lot of ultra running content out there already in the media. There's podcasts, tons of podcasts about trail and ultra running. There's YouTube channels. Trail runners a lot of times will make their own YouTube channels. There's live streams of races. There's print media in the form of magazines and online articles through websites such as I Run Far. And we just kind of want to add to that treasure trove of content in the form of ultra running news in video format, kind of like the ESPN for ultra running, sort of. But that's just a way for us to contribute and interact with the ultra running community. I know John and myself were both big fans of all things trail and ultra running. We've both been in the sport for well over a decade, and a long time. And I've been thinking about starting this news network for quite a while now. I think it was almost 2 years ago when I first ran this idea by John. And judging from your reaction, John, I'm pretty sure you wanted to be a part of it, and you were all in too. So I'm just excited that we're finally getting started here. And just want to mention to everybody that the show is also going to be available in audio format on all the major podcast platforms too. So you can look for us there through the Ultra Running News Network. And we have a lot of ideas on how to grow and expand the show in the future. I think just for the start, we are looking at just easing into it. And that's kind of why we picked this time of year, just because the ultra running news is kind of slow right now. It's kind of the off season for everybody. So it gives us a chance to kind of ease into it. But okay, well, enough on the why. I think everybody has a good idea of what we're doing here. But one thing we wanted to use this intro episode, to introduce ourselves and kind of just talk about what brought us to the world of trail and ultra running. And I know in the superhero movies, I like the origin stories is usually my favorite part. So I thought that was kind of a good way to do our introductions and talk about how we got here. So Johnny, why don't you go ahead and take it away, and let's hear your origin story.
Yeah. So first off, it kind of hurt to hear that it has been a decade, because man, like that means I've gotten 10 years older in that time frame, and that just doesn't even feel like something that's happened. But yeah, so origin story. So how did I get into ultra running, trail running? I feel like it's probably pretty cliche. It's probably what everyone has happened to them, but someone had a dumb idea, right? Like someone's like, "Hey, I got this idea," and so mine was. This is back in 2013, right? And me and my brother-in-law were going to run the Flying Pig. And so if you're from the Midwest, or who knows where you're from, but right, if you're in the Midwest, you probably know what the Flying Pig is, right? It's the marathon that Cincinnati has, and we're going to run that. And he came up with this idea. He's like, "Hey, by the way, I got a friend of mine that I've known since like a little kid, and he's getting ready to host the first ever 50K in Delaware, Ohio, and it's at a state park here in Delaware. It's called, the state park's Delaware DSP, Delaware State Park, but it was Playing Possum 50K, and the race directors for that is a great human being named Chad Heald and a great human being named Mark Carroll. Chad is my brother-in-law's friend, And he's like, by the way, if we do this 50K, if we do this trail race, the cool thing is we can qualify to be marathon maniacs. I think like I don't like those people still exist. Like it's still around. Like I see them. I'm like, oh yeah. So he's like, we can be one of those. I'm like, well, that'd be kind of funny. That'd be ironic, you know? And he's like, yes. And like, here comes the famous words. It's only 5 more miles. It's just 5 more miles. It's dumb, right? It's the famous last words.
Right.
So sure enough, signed up for it. Ran that 50K. And again, super cliche, famous last words, finish line, never going to do that again. That was horrible. Never going to do that again. Got to know Mark better, got to know Chad better, and then they start telling their war stories. And you start hearing these things about this like 100-miler, and again, if you're Central Ohio, if you're the Midwest, you know Mohican 100. And I want to say at this current time, it's 7th oldest in the country. But you start hearing stories about that, and you're like, wow, that sounds absolutely horrible. I would love to do something horrible to my body. And that's like what's kind of dumb for me is like I jumped right from the 50K to the 100-miler. I know you want to talk a little bit about your childhood. So like my mindset, like I've always been one of those people. Going all the way back when I was in high school, I was on the wrestling team, did really dumb stuff when I was in the military. I was in the Army, so done some dumb stuff in there. But I was one of those people I always wanted to see, like, what's that next level I can push myself to? Like, okay, that really sucked. Like, let's see what can suck even more. And so for me, the natural progression was, I mean, if I'm in for a penny, I'm in for a pound. So, like, let's go right to the 100-miler. So got into, did Mo the 1 year. Did you and I meet on my first? It was my second. My first year, I almost drowned to death in that race. It rained on us for like 18 straight hours. It was miserable. DNF that like a boss. And then the next year ran a second time because you never give up. And that's when I bumped into you, met you, and you and I started doing fun stuff together, forget the PR and all this other kind of stuff. So anyways, that's basically my origin story. Like it literally was just one of those things where like it was just a dumb idea. Hey, I have this buddy of mine. It's the first one ever. It's right in your backyard. And it's wild. Like I've done long runs from my house to DSP now. You know what I mean? So it's right in my backyard. So I'm like, well, of course I'm going to do that. But did that race, got a little taste of ultra running. More specific, I think it's for me, it's more the trail side of it. I absolutely love being on the trails. The suffering at 2 a.m. is just a added perk to it for me. So yeah, that's my origin story. So there you go. But let's get a little bit of background about your origin story there, Farley.
Yeah. Well, first of all, what you said about Mark Carroll and Chad Heald, they are great human beings. I totally agree with that. Playing Possum crew, just all around great people. It was your second Mohican 100 that we spent quite a bit of time in the first 2 loops in that.
More than you wish you would have spent with me.
Yeah. But yeah, for me, I grew up in Northwest Ohio and, grew up in the 80s, and we were just running around the woods all the time, all day. Parents just get out of the house, come back for dinner, whatever. So, we're just out in the woods. There was no trails in those woods, we were just kind of running around. But, and then, I did some hiking with my parents in the Smoky Mountains growing up, and really liked the trails, and ran cross country in high school, just getting in shape for basketball. I didn't really like running too much, and I hated running. Our practices were basically on country roads, like just run 2 miles down and 2 miles back on a paved country road. And it's like, it was not that great. But once we got into the meets and all of a sudden we're running on trails, I'm like, this is pretty cool. Like really enjoyed being on the trails. So, but after high school went, like any good Midwestern boy in his late teens, and throughout his 20s, I partied my life away and didn't really. I ran, I tried to get back into running every once in a while, but just partying kind of took priority over that. So, but and I think the rest of my story is probably pretty similar to a lot of people. A little cliche, like I started to gain a lot of weight, and I'm like, I need to do some exercise, just start getting shape, start losing some weight. And I started running, just in the beginning, it was really hard, and just to get to 3 miles. And so I was just struggling, getting going. And a really good college friend of mine, Lucas Hardbarger, you know Lucas, right? Or you've met him?
I think so. I think we've.
Yeah. Him and I were really good friends in college. We met at Bowling Green, and he stumbled into the world of ultra running. He was just on the internet a long time ago and found some people in a chat group that were doing a group run at Mohican 100. And some of those people were Rob Powell, Don Bond, Mark Carroll. And so he met them through that. And he ran the very first Forget the PR 50K, which is in the Mohican State Forest. And I think him and Nick Longworth were like bib number 1 and 2, something. But anyway, so I knew he was into that, and I was really curious about doing trail running. So I always liked the trail. So he sent me some information, and long story short, I ended up doing the Woodstock Trail Running Festival. I did the half marathon, trail marathon there, and the furthest I ever ran before that was 7 miles. And then did that trail half. All of a sudden, I was just destroyed. I'm like, yeah, but I thought it was pretty fun in its own weird way. I'm like you. I like to see how far I can push myself. I like the adventure of it and everything. And Lucas gave me he told me to read these books, Born to Run and Ultra Marathon Man. And I'm like, okay, that really piqued my interest. And then he's like, you should come volunteer at this event with me. It was Forget the PR 50K. So I drove down to Mohican, and we volunteered at Covered Bridge. And that was back in the day when the course, it went on the northern part of the Mohican, like the bridle trails and stuff. And that was back when we used to cross the Mohican River. And,
in the Mohican, like you were getting away.
Like waist deep.
Yeah. No bridge.
Sometimes more than waist deep. Yeah. And so I'm volunteering at Covered Bridge, and I'm just watching all these runners just go into this river, and I'm like, this is some pretty cool shit. I want to
sadistically having the time of their lives, right? Like just loving it. Like, this is the dumbest shit. They're like, sign me up, let's go.
Yep. It was from that point I'm like, I knew what I was going to do. So that's pretty much what brought me.
It's interesting how that, like, it's just that one little thing, right? You're like, this is it. This is my jam for the next 20, 30 years until it's just not, right? Like this is it. And then even when, like you mentioned, like a great person also, Don Bond, even when I'm lucky enough to get to where Don Bond is at this, you're like, even then I'm all right. I'm still hanging out at the trail.
Yes.
Slinging beers and like yucking it up. And, like it's just a good life. It's just a good life.
And the one thing I do want to say that my takeaway from that whole experience volunteering there was how awesome that the community is, the ultra running community. And since then, I've met, some of my best friends, you and Chaz and Ron and all, just some really great people. And my friends out here, Sean and Ram, and we got a great community. And I'm friends with people on Strava out here in the Bay Area that I've never even met, but I feel like we're like close friends because we're always, commenting on runs and liking runs and whatever. So
now Strava's giving you the ability to message them.
Yeah. How about that?
On the note of like having friends like across like the other thing that I love about ultra running and trail running is it has given me additional reason to like explore the US or explore the
Yeah.
world. You know what I mean? Like, I've been fortunate enough and you've been gracious enough to let me come out and hang out in San Francisco and run Marin. You know what I mean? Like, just it's cool. I would have like, as a Midwestern person, I would have never had even like thought about like, oh, there's a really dope 50-miler right across the bridge. Like, I just wouldn't have even thought about it. And because of this world, it's a door that's been opened up to me. So great community.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, just for a bit of background to everybody, me and my wife Jessica moved out to San Francisco about 5 years ago, and lived in Ohio and Michigan all our lives, and was trail running out there. I had been to Colorado a couple of times for trail races, but I never really spent much time trail running in California. But once we moved out here, it definitely opened my eyes to to the world of many choices.
Yeah, yeah.
But anyways, yeah. So I think we're all on the same page, and everybody else feels pretty similar, about the community and all that. So, but yeah, that's pretty much what we're here for, is to bring the news and have some good dialogue and good talk. And I hope if anybody decides to watch this or listen, that they make some comments on the video and give us some stuff to talk about, have some dialogue, and we'll kind of take it from there.
I think the other thing I think it will be really cool for this station, for this channel, is that it's going to be like almost a conduit, right? Like Jamie was saying, there's so many different resources out there, right? Like, there's still written, news out there, written articles out there. There's Twitter or X or whatever it's going by now. There's this, there's Instagram, there's all these different ways. There is YouTube, there's podcasts, there's all these different ways to take this stuff in. And I know that I don't catch everything. I love the fact that Jamie catches about 99.9% of everything and is like, hey, by the way, did you see this? I'm like, dang, that's really cool. I did not see that. And so the other thing I think will be really cool for this for a lot of people is that, like, think of us as a giant fish net or a conduit that we're going to do our absolute best to kind of like bring in a bunch of different news from a bunch of different places and just serve it up to you on a platter. So instead of you having the headache and the pain in the neck of trying to find it and have all these feeds, you know what? Stop. Just tune in every so often. We got you. We'll do everything we can to get into one spot for you.
That's very, very well said, John. Thank you. Yeah, that's exactly right. We're trying to be like a one-stop shop for all the happenings in the ultra running world. So, and all right. Well, did you have anything else today?
I didn't. This was perfect, right? They kind of know who we are, what we're about. Like, I think this is a good start. Now we can just watch the comment section flood in with like, hey, I'm over here. Tell us about this.
Yeah.
And we'll go from there.
Yeah. If you want to see what we have in store for future episodes, go ahead. I'll say the most cliche YouTube thing ever right now. Go ahead and like and subscribe, and No.
Let's go, folks. It took us how long did it take us before it said 19 minutes and 14 seconds? We got into this before it finally said. There it is.
But no, we just really want to get the word out and let everybody know what we're doing. And like I said, we're easing into it. We're not starting in June when all the craziness is going on.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, leave a comment if you have any ideas or thoughts. Like we said, this is going to be constantly evolving. We have an idea of what we want to do, but there's a lot of different directions that this thing could go to. So
yeah, cool.
Looking forward to future episodes. And the next episode, we're going to be taking a look at kind of the highlights of 2023 and and maybe focusing on all the world records that were set in 2023. And spoiler alert, there was quite a few.
Insane. I mean, hopefully not too many people from my work come across this. I devoted an hour today watching a certain video like you sent me, and my mind, I can't wait. Can't wait to talk about that one.
We will definitely get into that. I know exactly what you're talking about. So, but yeah, so thanks for tuning in, everyone. I'm gonna go ahead and take us out now.
Cool. All right. See you next time.